This is Hoffman's Head. Hey, Headlights. I'm gonna open up your fan mail to Garrett Hoffman. Well, that's me. Ah. And the note says, Garrett, my pet earthworm had babies and I'm giving them to you to raise.
Like, share, follow. I'm not actually talking about the movie, I'm telling you to like, share and follow this channel and this video, but we are talking about the movie also called Like, Share, Follow. And while it does seem a weird film to review, well, it's kind of about YouTube, and obviously me being a YouTube review channel, I almost feel somewhat meta in doing this. So this one is written and directed by Glenn Gers and stars Keiynan Lonsdale, who you may know from TV's The Flash. He plays Wally West, Kid Flash. And here he is as a YouTuber, and I think he's based on kind of the popular YouTubers, obviously kind of PewDiePie, that kind of stuff. And he is this guy who does a lot of kind of gameplay videos, and also just weird, just pissing around, doing bugger all. You know how loads of these guys have like millions of subscribers, and all they do is, I don't know, fanny around and don't do anything, in my opinion. But anyway, I digress. Anyway, he's got 2 million viewers or whatever it's meant to be, and he's a successful YouTuber, obviously making a kind of career out of it. And we see a variety of kind of faux clips, obviously that he's doing. So I did actually look on YouTube to see if they actually made any videos, and there is a channel, but there's nothing on there. But anyway. He's this kind of successful YouTuber, as I've mentioned, and he ends up kind of meeting one of his fans in kind of real life in the form of this kind of this female that seems to have kind of like turned up almost unexpectedly. And although no, she's very pretty and everything, and he's obviously quite attracted to her initially, but it turns out she is somewhat of a stalker. And it ends up being a bit of a, I guess you would call it a fatal attraction for the YouTube generation. And ultimately she turns out to have a little bit more crazy than you may initially think. And ultimately it becomes somewhat of a slasher film to a certain degree. It's more of a psychological horror film, and it also kind of shows you, a lot of kind of behind the curtains maybe of what it is to deal with fame, and obviously mental illness, and kind of people who are, put people on a pedestal and things like that. And it's quite an interesting movie. If you are familiar with the kind of the YouTube space, I feel it's definitely, you feel like somewhat you know what you're looking at here. So that being someone who does YouTube, I kind of found this movie interesting on that level. So what do I think of Like, Share, Follow? Despite the fact this is obviously quite a low budget movie, I did kind of quite like the plot here. I thought the characters are all pretty interesting, and it spoke to me on a number of levels, I've got to say. This guy obviously a massive YouTuber in the movie, and I can speak. I have a bit of a stalker. Unfortunately, my stalker is not a pretty young girl. But there you go. You notice I have every review I do has a dislike, and that is my stalker. Hello, you know who you are. But it's one of these things where this is a little bit more serious in this movie, and obviously there are deadly consequences. I kind of like the characters, and I quite like the girl who plays Shell, who's this kind of like very kind of fragile kind of personality, who you initially think, you would totally want to get involved. She's pretty and all that, but she's crazy to the power of 10 here. I've got to say, if I had some negatives to this movie, first of all, I feel like the character, the main character, is a little bit too thinly drawn. We're meant to believe he's this kind of like great guy, and he's this, at every kind of level, he's like, he gives money to his dad, and he's this lovely guy. And I felt like there could have been a little bit more to him. We just are told he's this great guy, basically, and there's not much more to it than that. And I felt maybe he could have been a bit more. We could have seen a bit more characterization about how he kind of got there and what led him to do this and all that sort of stuff. He also has these two friends that help him with it, and we know nothing about them really apart from one line of dialogue towards the end. And I don't really know what they're going to be doing or who they are and how he kind of knows them and stuff like that. So again, I felt it was kind of just missing a little bit in a kind of some character development to a certain degree. Also, there's just a few little plot holes here and there. One of the things that bothered me is kind of this movie doesn't know how the internet works, apparently. In one scene we have them doing a live stream in a remote shack in the woods somewhere, and they're able to do a live stream. But another scene we have someone uploading not even a 5-minute video, a 2-minute video on YouTube, and it seemingly takes hours in a motel. And it's just like, come on, it's inconsistent in regards to some kind of things, some believability here, just to get the plot to a certain point. So, you know, it just kind of goes a little bit silly from time to time. But overall, I mean, maybe I'm kind of biased to this because, like I said, I am a YouTuber, and it's interesting to watch a kind of movie about the kind of the YouTube experience, and obviously any of you watching this clearly watch YouTube. So it certainly would be an interesting film to watch if you are kind of maybe more than just a casual viewer. And I think it definitely does. If you're a fan of the kind of the Fatal Attraction type films, you'll get a kick out of it, because I feel it kind of modernises that kind of concept and makes it, you know, a fun kind of like millennial version of that, if that makes sense. And you have all these kind of like, you know, little kind of text that appear on screen. Everyone seems to be using a Windows phone, which I found a little suspect, but there you go. Who uses Windows phones anyway? Anyway, so I kind of like this film, I've got to say. It is there's a little bit silly here and there, a little bit kind of shallow at times, but I feel when it hits you those kind of emotional punches, all the cast do a good job here. I really like the character of Shell. I thought she was very well played. You know, she plays it very vulnerable and very crazy in other places. I thought her character was fantastic. Keiynan Lonsdale, I don't think he's a bad actor, but I feel his character is underwritten, if I'm honest. And like I said, the friends just seem very peripheral to me. I would have liked to have understood their kind of relationship a little bit, particularly the kind of the female friend. Overall though, I kind of like this film. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I mean, I'm only biased, like I've said, because I maybe see it in a different light because I do YouTube myself. But if you're not a YouTuber or not a big YouTube watching fan, then you may find it a bit more boring. But for me, I kind of liked it. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.